first of all, they don't have a whole lot of money to spend. Second of all, when you are recruiting free agents and bidding against other teams who may have a little bit more money or other things like that, and you're sitting across the table, there's a guarantee that the agent for player X and player X himself is going to say, hey, you never played Bielitsa. Hey, you never played Jamal Crawford. Hey,
you signed Cole Aldrich. You didn't play him.
Why should I expect different treatment? And so that's going to be their challenges. Tibbs and Layden are going to have a convincing argument set up to say to these guys, look, whether it's, hey, these players, just look at their numbers. They weren't very good when they were coming off the bench, so I couldn't play them. Or we just didn't fit. They just didn't fit in the system the way I expect you to fit into the system. Things like that they're going to have to find a way to sell these guys on it, and it's not going to be super easy to do. So the one thing that will, I think, help them on the market is that there isn't a lot of money for a lot of teams to spend. So I think they might lay in the weeds early, wait for a lot of the big contracts to go out, and then it'll be like musical chairs, and some of these free agents are not going to have any place to go. So then they may come back and look at the Wolves in a different light if they can make $6-7 million on a 1-year deal. So that may help them. But there's no question that the conversations that they will have to have with these guys are, hey, we believe in you. We are going to play you. Please just give us that chance, and we'll see if these guys take it or not.
He'll turn on the old Tibbs charm. It'll be fine.
Oh, absolutely. He's got it for days.
Here's the fascinating thing about Wiggins is if they traded him and didn't get great value in return, then they really put everything on winning this year and Butler winning and sticking around. And the weird aspect of this decision is if they keep Wiggins, he might not play well this year because he'll be in the same situation he was in last year, which is playing second fiddle to Butler as a wing scorer. But if Butler left after this year, I could see Wiggins blossoming like 2 years from now. So if there is a chance here this could still work out for Wiggins. I'm just not sure when it's going to work out for him.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, and I
don't trust him, but there's still so much talent. Who knows?
Sure. Yeah, he's not a bust because he's already shown that he can score at a high level here, and he is a great athlete. But you need him to do so much more when you are giving him this contract and making him be it. So, but I still will say that the Wolves' best chance for being a long-term viable competitor in the Western Conference is for Wiggins to finally kind of realize his potential. Again, I don't know how realistic that is, but if you were to trade him, whatever you're getting back, especially right now with where his value is, it's going to be bit pieces. And that also does mean that you are pushing your chips all the way in, and you have to win like this year and next year with Jimmy Butler, and I think that's unrealistic.
The other issue is that if this is a make or break year for Tibbs, let's just they don't make the playoffs or it's another 8 seed and they're out in a couple games. If he leaves, Jimmy's not staying.
No, right.
It's like now you're stuck, and if Jimmy leaves, now you got Wiggins and Cat both on max deals. You now are on your 17th coach in 10 years or whatever it is, and Jimmy's gone, and now you got Dunn, Markkanen. Right? Levine. I mean, think about everything that's out the door, and Jimmy's gone for nothing. I mean, I suppose you could do a sign trade. I don't know how all that works, but like you could maybe get something back. But think about that. So like all these people are like, I hate Tibbs, I want him gone. It's actually a 2-for-1 because Jimmy will not be here without Tibbs.
Right. I agree with that 100%. And so here's what you had to look at. Like, I still think, knowing everything that we know now, I still think you make the deal for Butler that they did because you were invested in Tibbs at that point. This is my leader of my franchise. I have to give him the best chance for him to succeed. And the best chance is and was Jimmy Butler coming in. Now it's up to him to make that work. And if it doesn't, and if he does leave, then you need to clean house. But at least in that case, if in the worst case scenario, if next year things don't work out and Jimmy leaves, and you decide to move on from Tibbs, and you're basically saying you're moving on from Tibbs and Jimmy, at least you still have Cat and Wiggins on long-term deals as younger guys to sort of recalibrate. That's why it's probably more important that you don't trade Wiggins right now for maybe more veteran players who aren't as skilled and don't have as much upside, but have a lower floor or a higher floor. And so, but this is incredibly complicated stuff, man. It's not, it's not easy. And so it's not easy for Glenn Taylor. It's not easy for Tom Thibodeau. But I still think that getting Butler here and getting them out of that rut that they were in was a really good first step. But now they really have to capitalize on it. And if they don't, there'll be big changes again.
Let's buzz through a few Twitter questions. Zach Brown just asked about Wiggins' trade value. I think you just answered that. From Nikolai, that's kind of more Wiggins stuff. We'll skip that because I think we got into it. Another Wiggins.
We should have talked about Wiggins first,
yes,
apparently.
I guess we should have. Jerome Jordan, what's the likelihood of the Wolves not sending a qualifying offer for Belly?
Probably fairly unlikely because, I know that if you, we'll get into the weeds a little bit, but if you extend a qualifying offer, he takes up a little bit more of your available cap space, essentially, because he has a cap hold on him. But I don't think that they anticipate spending enough money that would be too prohibitive on him. And so by extending a qualifying offer, then you have a right to match any offer that comes in. So that way, if the market just falls off the cliff and Belly has to take a $5 million deal, $4.5 million deal, well, then the Wolves can match that. And then they can keep him, which they want to do. What they're worried about is that he gets an $8 or $9 or $10 million deal that would push them into the luxury tax if they did it. And so they're kind of resigned to the possibility of him leaving. But I don't think they will rescind any qualifying offer and then make him an unrestricted free agent. I think they want to keep that arrow in their quiver.
Jerome also said he noted that Belly only played 47 minutes against Houston, which is a good note. So,
yeah, that factors into
good stuff from Jordan. From T Gauge or to Gauge, does Tibbs show any history of adapting during an off season after seeing the success of playoff teams playing young players in big minutes? Will he adapt?
Well, I think that his answer to that would be. Utah played young players because Donovan Mitchell's a star, and we didn't have that. And he would say, I am playing my young players, Wiggins and Cat. But I believe that he has an incredible confidence in his system, and that if these guys do it the right way, it will be very successful. So I don't anticipate them coming out with major overhaul of offense, doing a whole lot different defensively. I think he wants to do what they do better, and we'll see if that works.
From Ben Johnson, does the unexpected second-round addition of KBD impact the Wolves' free agent approach by using the MLE on a wing versus committing it to Belly?
Yeah, well, the one thing it may affect a little bit is, again, with second-round picks, they're probably going to have to use a little bit of their mid-level exception to devote to him. Then you probably have to use a little bit more of it maybe to devote to Derrick Rose. So you wonder how much of that $8.6 million is going to be available to give to any player as a big chunk. Will Avery Bradley take $7 million or even less to play here? I don't know. And so what they have to hope for is that after LeBron signs, after Paul George signs, after the Kawhi situation is figured out and a few others, that teams just say, we don't have much room anymore, and so we don't have a whole lot of money to spend, and so the price tags on Belly, the price tags on an Avery Bradley or a Joe Harris or these other guys comes way down, and then they can make that work. But it's a little bit of a limb to walk out on.
Last Twitter question, then we'll get final thoughts from the gentleman. Thanks again to TSR Injury Law, 612-TSR-TIME, sodastick.com. Check out their website and all of the different stuff they have to offer. And Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin, Hoaglund. From MJ, our friend who has shown up at the Cheryl Reef. By the way, the next Cheryl Reef show will be July 17th at 6 o'clock at the Free House, North Loop in Minneapolis. We had a huge crowd last time. Please show up and join us next time. From MJ, John, she asked about your assessment of the draft picks. I think you've already gotten into that. She also sends out a shout out to Jon Folke. I always screw that up. I'm so bad with pronunciations.
It'd be a lot worse if you screw it up.
It could be. Jon Folke, who's a great guy and recently won an award for his broadcasting. And MJ asked, how tough is play-by-play announcing? Has anybody in this room tried it? I've never tried it. Brandon done it in college.
Yeah, I mean, only when I'm playing video games when I was a kid. And because I thought that might be something I wanted to do, but it's remarkably difficult.
Yeah.
Like when you hear the best of the best, the Harlans, I mean, John is great. Alan Horton is awesome for the Wolves. Like the way that they process things so quickly and describe it so accurately. And I mean, it's unbelievable. And then they tell stories and they entertain and all those things. It's an art and a science, and those guys are remarkably gifted.
You just think about that. Alan does it all by himself.
Yeah, himself.
So he's like play-by-play and the stat guy. I mean, he is, and I've seen him on planes, and he's like his prep, and I mean the amount of information he is processing every game, it's incredible, and he's so smooth. He's
and a lot of these guys now too are not courtside.
No,
like
they're way
up high.
Well, when he is courtside, I always go up to him. He's like, I'm like, oh, you can see the game.
Yeah,
because he's always way up top.
I mean,
they put him on the roof.
It's insane now, and they're looking through binoculars, and they're doing all and to be able to do that and to tell the story of the game the way that these guys can. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And Alan had to do it for so long when the Wolves were god awful,
yes,
uninteresting, and he had to do it by himself. I mean, I know from doing podcasts and radio and other things, the hardest thing to do is talk to yourself, talk and not have somebody to bounce stuff off, not have somebody at least going, oh yeah, and just pick you up here. To do it by yourself is brutal.
You know who's really good at talking to himself is Rich Runin of TSR Injury Law. I mean, that's why we don't have him on the podcast anymore. Man, he'll just talk, and John will be like pushed out the door. Anyway, we'll keep him off.
Well, that's why we hand him a mic and we put him in another room and we tell him he's doing a podcast.
Yeah, he's talking right now, actually.
Any final thoughts, or have we covered it all here?
Free agency starts midnight Saturday, July 1, and I expect the Wolves to be very quiet early while they will let the market shake out and then try and capitalize on a few things down the road. Now, maybe they get a Derrick Rose done kind of early or something like that, but I think they're going to turn their attention to the Towns extension fairly quickly and then wait for the dust to settle on free agency before they dive back in and hopefully get a bargain or two.
I think there's a lot that we've covered about the summer and how big it is, but assuming everyone comes back, Tibbs and Jimmy and all that, and we're going, the biggest thing to me is Wiggins. He's making the money. No one has reached him. Everyone talks about his motor, and it's like you can see what he can do. Like some of those dunks, I mean, he's dunking over Rudy Gobert. Mm-hmm. It's like if you had that talent, I would come down every play. I would tell you what I'm going to do it, and tell you what I just did. Like it's so frustrating that you look at him and you're like, you are the prototypical player, and yet you disappear. Mm-hmm. And you've been doing it probably. If we had video on him from preschool, he'd have disappeared. It's just it's frustrating. But hopefully with some maturity and he can get another go-to move and play some defense and just grow up and be a man. I mean, because it's like no more excuses. Yeah, they hope he's DeMar DeRozan, like a late bloomer. DeMar did not make the All-Star team till his fifth year and really kind of started to – he was kind of a shrinking violet early. So you hope that Wiggins is the same way. Uh-oh. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Rich Runin's in the house. He heard us talking about him. We were just saying nice things about you, Richie. We were saying how you're quiet and you're reserved. He almost said as many nice things about you as he did about the Ohio State University. That I know. Yes. Absolutely. And now that Rich is here, the show's over. Thanks. Have a good night. I just came to listen to the experts.